They want the area of the region below the polar axis. So this is the polar axis. So we want the area below. Okay, so we need to know roughly what this graph looks like. You could memorize the polar graph shapes to get an idea of how to quickly make these. It takes a while. You could just make an R and theta table to get exact points if you don't have access to technology, or if you're just doing homework and you want to quickly get to the calculus part, you could look up a polar equation grapher online. So you should see a shape that looks like this. So the region below they're referring to is this region here. Okay, so our limits of integration, it starts when we rotate to this place on our theta. So that's at pi, okay? Because remember, polar coordinates, r is your radius, the distance from the center. So this is a radius, this is a radius, this is a radius. And theta is the angle where this is the initial side. So we'd have to rotate 180 degrees to get to the first part of our shaded area, and then we rotate 360 degrees to come to the end, so 2 pi. And then we know what r is, so the rest is just the calculus part that we've been practicing a lot. Pi and 2 pi. We need to square 11 minus 9 cosine theta. Okay. So on its own, like in the current format, I can't think of any tricks to try to make a substitution right now. Let's try squaring this parentheses and see what we've got. So squaring the parentheses, I'd multiply the parentheses to itself. So it's 121 minus 99 minus another 99. So that's minus 198 cosine theta. And then the last one is going to be plus 81 cosine theta squared. Because negative 9 cosine theta times negative 9 cosine theta. Okay, you can go term by term. Antiderivative here is no problem. Antiderivative here is no problem. Bit of a problem here with the antiderivative because what would you use to substitute? So what you can do is you can reduce this power. We learned in pre-calc that cosine squared theta is the same thing as 1 minus 2 cosine theta over 2. So that would reduce this power. So our integral is 1/2 times pi 2 pi that 121 minus the 198 cosine theta plus 81 times 1 minus cosine of 2 theta over 2. Okay, and so that antiderivative is a little bit easier. You can distribute this 81 to the parentheses, so it's going to be 81, or in other words, you could factor out that 1/2. So you got 81 over 2 here for a term, and then 81 over 2 times that cosine. Okay, so finding the antiderivative term by term now, we're going to have 121 theta minus the antiderivative cosine is sine, not negative sine. And then this term is going to be an 81 over 2, so that's 81 over 2 theta. And then this term is going to be, antiderivative is going to be, let's see, 81 over 2 sine of 2 theta. But check yourself real quick. If you take a derivative, it should turn back into this. But it doesn't right now because you would have times 2 on the outside. So you actually got to multiply this times 1/2. And then limits of integration are pi to 2 pi. So we took an antiderivative each term. Now I just need to plug in those limits of integration. So that's 1/2 times 121. So that's 242 pi minus 2 pi plugged into sine is 0. So that's nice. We don't have to worry about complicated numbers. 2 pi times this gives us 81 pi. And then 2 pi times 2 is 4 pi. Sine of 4 pi is still 0. Now we need to subtract the lower limit of integration. So if I plug in pi, I get 121 pi. Sine of pi is also 0. This is going to be 81 over 2 pi. Then sine of 2 pi is 0. So those zeros helped us out with our calculation. Okay, that's 242 pi here. Let's add up all the pi's. We've got 242 pi plus 81 pi subtracted by that 121 pi, and it's going to be subtracted by that 81 over 2 pi. So but that's 40.5 pi. This is 161.5 pi. I think I got it all. 242 plus 81, subtract by that looks about right. So times 1/2, so that's divided by 2, so that's 80.75 pi. But I think Newton doesn't like decimals, so you could have kept your fractions all the way through in those last steps. Let's convert this to a fraction. That's 8,075 pi over 100, and simplify, dividing the top and the bottom by 5. So I get 160. Oh, so probably 25. Maybe there's something bigger. So I got 323 pi over 4. And I'll check if it's wrong. I'll come back and find out what I did for a mistake.